Alright, so normally I got like lots to talk about. Maybe it's about being an entrepreneur, God, raising your kids. There's a lot of stuff I'm really passionate about that's like the focal points of my life, so I'm willing to share those things with people. But but the source of a lot of positive energy in my life has come from humility. I mean, I think I'm still kind of vain in a lot of ways, bossy and stuff, but um, being humble has has been something that was kind of forced on me um, and taught to me. So I guess the combination was perfect. Father Jim taught it to me growing up, and I played music with Frank Rangel, and he seemed to be very humble my whole life. So he's very successful in the construction world, but very quiet, soft-spoken, and humble in the church, and yet still a strong leader. So those were some great examples when I was younger, along with my dad. He was just always working and stuff. So, but but there was a day that I was humbled the most, and it must have been when I was about 17, because I know I could drive. And see, my grandpa, he might get mad at me for telling the story. I don't know. It's his privacy. It's his life. But my grandpa lived and worked about 2 miles apart. And so every day he would ride his bike to work, rain or shine. Can't really say snow because it snowed like in 1985. That's it. So it would just rain or shine. He rode his bike. If my grandma was there on time to pick him up for lunch, um, because it would be pouring down rain or something, then he would he would go in the car and put his bike in the truck and leave it at home during lunch and take the truck. So those are the few times. But if she was a minute late, he would ride right by her, that sucker. Ride his bike all the way home in the rain. But so I learned my stubbornness and hard-headedness probably from some of those things. But the humbling situation came when I was about 17, and I remember having, I think it was like a Honda Prelude SI. Sucker was nice. So I thought one day, I thought a lot about myself all the time back then. A lot. I treated myself good. I worked out 3 times a day and ate really good and didn't drink, didn't smoke. So I really, really loved myself, I guess you could say. So this was out of the ordinary. I thought, well, I'm going to take my grandpa a lunch, or, honestly, to this day, I can't sit here and say I remember what it was. I don't remember what it was. I showed up to his job, and I have to tell you why this was so humbling, and that story takes just a couple seconds, but my family has been one in the educational world that has striven, or has strove, has tried really hard to do well in the educational world. I guess it's something that's been passed down. There's a longer story about that, but I remember times in high school taking calculus, and who was the person I got help from? It was my grandpa. And he would read the book and then help me out at it, and really remember if it was calculus or something tough. And other times in my life when a group of people I thought was extremely smart needed something, my grandpa was the one that we called. He would come settle disputes. He would come calm people down, or he would make decisions at the right moments. for other people. So life was pretty humbling as far as that's concerned, but it really didn't do the trick. Like I said, Father Jim and Frank were a little bit more inspiring up to that point, because I was 12 and 10 and 11 years old knowing them. And it still really didn't do the trick. I mean, I was still doing my thing, and honestly, the story of me is a little bit darker than I share with most. So, you know, it's the story of me was pretty intense, and really, I guess you could just boil it down to, I love myself a lot. So anyway, I show up to my grandpa's job, and one of the smartest guys I know, and he works at, you know, a certain place in town, and I don't really know what this place does, but I know my grandpa's gotta have a clipboard and be walking around and solving problems and stuff. Hey, you stay over here. My dog. So I walk in the door, and it's like a factory, kind of, with a factory, but like AutoZone, with shelves of products and stuff, like the way AutoZone looks in the back. And this was like a warehouse full of that, with factory stuff, with tractors. It was just a lot of stuff going on. And I was like, all right, yeah, that's what I thought. All right, I need to see my grandpa. Said his name. Oh, yeah, he's back there, no problem. Pointed me to him. All right, I'm walking to his office. Turn a corner, and it's a small little factory line. And I don't know if this is what my grandpa did every day. Now, actually, the first time I'm thinking about this story, maybe that was his position for the day, and he rotated everywhere. I don't know. But that day, seeing my grandpa at a factory line, inspecting little parts and sending them down the line. Same monotonous job, over and over for hours. I realized that man was willing to do what it took in life to raise his family. And whatever society presented him, he made the best of it. Back then, in this little town I live in, he did have to use the back door to a store. And he did have to use different water fountains and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty intense here. It's not that far in the future. So the man did what he had to do and raised what I feel is one of the most beautiful families that I know. It's my family. And I could have been born into absolutely any family in the world. But I was born into this one. And maybe it's because it's one day before Father's Day, I don't know. But I'll go ahead and make it that. I'll make this my tribute to my Grandpa Molina. You have humbled me and maybe so many, many others. I love you and I respect you. And to all the people that may watch this video, remember that the people in your life are not here just to work. We're here to love. We slip, we fall, we stumble. But listen to God when He speaks to you. Fight the devil as much as you can. Find examples and ways to keep the wind beneath your wings. Grandpa, I'll tell you in person tomorrow. But I love you and happy Father's Day. And all you men out there that are fathers or expecting fathers, happy Father's Day 2017. I love you all.